Everyone lies. Not just the people you distrust. Not just the politicians. Not just the ones who have hurt you. Everyone, including you. Research suggests the average person tells between 1 and 2 lies every single day, most of them small, some of them significant, and almost none of them for the reasons you think. Because lying is not primarily about deception, it is about survival. And once you understand the psychology behind why humans lie, you will see yourself and everyone around you very differently. The first thing to understand about lying is that it is not a character flaw. It is a deeply human behavior, one that begins extraordinarily early in life. Research shows children begin lying as early as 2 years old, not because they are taught to, but because they discover on their own that reality can be shaped by what they say, that they can say something happened differently than it did, and the consequences change. This is actually a significant cognitive milestone. To lie effectively, you must understand that other people have minds separate from yours, that they do not automatically know what you know, that their perception of reality can be different from the actual reality. This ability is called theory of mind, and it is one of the most sophisticated cognitive skills humans possess. Children who develop theory of mind earlier tend to be more socially intelligent, more empathetic, and yes, more capable of lying. The same cognitive tools that allow you to deceive are the ones that allow you to understand others. Not all lies are the same, and understanding the different categories changes how you think about the people who tell them. The first category is prosocial lies. These are lies told to protect someone else's feelings. You tell your friend their presentation was great when it was mediocre. You tell your partner the dinner was delicious when it was not your favorite. You tell someone their new haircut looks good when you preferred the old one. These lies are so common and so socially accepted that most people do not even consider them lies. They are the social lubricant that keeps relationships functioning. Because the brutal truth, delivered without care for timing or context, often does more damage than a small kindness. The second category is self-protective lies. These are lies told to avoid negative consequences, to protect reputation, to avoid punishment, to preserve how others see you. These are the lies most people think of when they think of lying. And they're driven by one of the most fundamental human needs, the need to belong, the need to be seen as worthy of inclusion. Because for most of human history, being rejected by the group meant death, and the brain still treats social rejection as an existential threat. So when the truth threatens your standing, your brain looks for an alternative. The third category is self-deceptive lies. These are perhaps the most interesting and the most damaging. These are the lies you tell yourself about why you have not started yet, about how you are going to change tomorrow, about how your situation is different from other people's, about why what happened was not really your fault. Self-deception is the brain's way of protecting your self-concept, of maintaining the story you tell yourself about who you are. And it is so effective that most people never even realize they are doing it. Here is what is happening in your brain when you lie. Lying is significantly more cognitively demanding than telling the truth. When you tell the truth, you simply recall what happened and report it. When you lie, you must do several things simultaneously. You must suppress the true version of events. You must generate a false version. You must make the false version consistent with what the other person already knows. You must monitor the other person's reactions to see if they believe you, and you must remember what you said so you can maintain the lie later. This is an enormous cognitive load, which is why the brain prefers truth by default, and why lying under pressure often produces observable signs. The slight delay before answering, the change in eye contact, the unconscious self-touching gestures, the voice that changes pitch almost imperceptibly. Your body knows you are doing something cognitively expensive, and it shows. But here's the fascinating part. Research shows that the more you lie about something, the easier it becomes. The first time you tell a lie, your brain's emotional centers register discomfort, a kind of moral alarm. But each subsequent lie about the same thing triggers a smaller alarm, until eventually, the alarm stops going off altogether. The brain adapts. Dishonesty that once felt wrong begins to feel normal. This is why small lies can become large ones. Not because someone decided to become dishonest, but because the emotional resistance eroded so gradually, they never noticed it happening. The most consequential lies most people tell are not the ones they tell others. They are the ones they tell themselves. Self-deception serves a very specific psychological function. It protects your self-esteem. When you do something that contradicts your self-concept, when you behave in a way that does not match who you believe yourself to be, your brain experiences what psychologists call cognitive dissonance, an uncomfortable tension between reality and self-image. And rather than update the self-image to match reality, which would require accepting an uncomfortable truth about yourself, your brain often changes its interpretation of reality instead. You were not irresponsible. The situation was genuinely impossible. You were not unkind. The other person was being too sensitive. You are not avoiding the hard thing. You are being strategic. These self-deceptions do not feel like lies. They feel like honest assessments. That is what makes them so powerful and so difficult to escape. The antidote to self-deception is not more willpower. It is outside perspective. Other people can see your patterns in ways you cannot, because they are not inside the same self-protective narrative, which is why the people who grow the fastest are almost always the ones willing to seek and receive honest feedback, even when it is painful. Understanding the psychology of lying does not mean accepting dishonesty. It means understanding it. When someone lies to you, it rarely means they are a fundamentally bad person. It usually means they are afraid. Afraid of your judgment. Afraid of consequences. Afraid of losing something that matters to them. The person who lies to make themselves sound more impressive is usually someone who deeply fears they are not enough. The person who lies to avoid conflict is usually someone who has learned that honesty leads to pain. The person who lies compulsively is often someone whose relationship with the truth was never safe. This does not excuse the behavior. Lies damage trust, and trust is one of the hardest things to rebuild once broken, but it does change how you see the person behind the lie. And understanding what is underneath a lie is the first step to knowing how to respond to it, whether that is with compassion, with boundaries, or with distance. Everyone lies. The question is never whether someone is capable of lying. It is why they feel they need to. And when you understand the why, you understand the person, not just the behavior. The desire for honesty in your relationships starts with creating conditions where the truth feels safe to say, where the cost of honesty is lower than the cost of deception, because people tell the truth when telling the truth feels survivable, and they lie when it does not. Subscribe to Level 1, because every week we explore the psychology behind why humans think, feel, and behave the way they do, and what you can actually do about it. See you in the next one.